good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Today, for this last episode of the series and of the season, I have the pleasure of welcoming Angela Middleton, who I met for the first time about a year ago.
Yeah.
When she launched her Your Body Means Business program. So Angela is a very successful businesswoman and a peak performance coach. So without further ado, Angela, can you introduce yourself, tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Well, thanks very much for having me on your lovely show, Madeleine. I've just been, admiring what you've been doing in the last year and all the great people that you've been accumulating in your group and the lovely shows you've been doing. So it's a real pleasure to be here and to talk to you and to catch up with you, really. So I live in London, and as you say, I officially launched a program called Your Body Means Business in 2018, but really it got going during lockdown. It was one of those things that, lockdown actually was good for YBNB. It's funny, isn't it, when we talk about the pandemic now, and there's so many bad things about it, but
God, I lost Angela. Okay, so that's the first time that I've got that. Yes.
Back.
Angela, you're back. Yes.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
So yeah, about me, I'm a businesswoman. I'm 58 years old. I have been, I've had a corporate career for 20 years. I've run businesses for 20 years, and they were in things like recruitment and training and helping people with their careers, everything from new jobs through to newly unemployed professionals. I went through a physical transformation myself in 2017. I started weightlifting and, had this fantastic transformation. According to the newspapers, it was in the newspapers and stuff. And what I realized was there's a certain way of training and eating, which, you can transform your body in your 50s, 60s, even 70s. And that in turn really impacts your mindset as well. And that both of those things then really help you with your business, especially if you want to change your business, and what I've realized is that for me and for so many people who came on the program after, that your best years are ahead of you, no matter where you are in life, no matter when you decide to start. And that's the same goes for men and for women. And so really it was a result of the pandemic, because I was asked by Success Resources to do a live workout for several thousand people in about May time. And that's how I met you, Madeleine, as well.
I missed the workout, but I got on the second workshop that you were doing.
That's it, yeah. And quite a lot of people signed up to come on the YBNB program, and we ended up with lots and lots of great transformations, everything from, a 67-year-old guy who got his first six-pack to a lawyer who was highly successful, but she just couldn't shift weight. She ended up losing 22 kgs. And lots of other case studies of people that have done so well. And now I spend all my time doing that, actually. So it's just been fascinating to see the transformation, even in myself, when I didn't, business transformation, when I didn't expect it to happen.
Yeah, indeed. So you're fully onto the YBNB program now, and
Yes,
your businesses are running themselves.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, and in fact, I've got older children as well, and one of my businesses is being run now by my ex-husband, and who we're very friendly still. So yeah, I've just sort of moved on to do completely different things, and I think that's anyone can do that anytime. I think that's probably one of my key messages.
Yeah, exactly. That we can all reinvent ourselves should we decide to do that. And as you mentioned, you completely reinvented yourself and your business. You created this whole new business, Your Body Means Business, and it has been evolving ever since.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I was there last year. I did the first season of the program, and for me it was also transformational. And I think there's still a video of me on your website about it, a testimonial. Yeah, I mean, I loved it, and everybody has been very happy with the program. So now it has evolved even further than what it was at the time I joined, right? Now you've
Yes.
got a lot of a lot more. You've added a lot more, right?
Yeah. I think, when I very first launched it, I didn't even intend to launch it as a program, to be honest with you. I mean, basically, I was very busy myself. What it's like when you're, well, let's say midlife, and you've got children and house and business, and you just got loads of things happening, and you can forget about yourself really. And I decided that I was going to take hold of my fitness, and I didn't realize there was going to be quite such a transformation that there was. And but what I also didn't realize was how much more energy you've got, and how much easier things seem to be when you are physically fit. But also it draws people to you because they want to come and ask you, how did you do it? What are you eating? Tell me your secrets and all things like that. And so I started by sharing some of this with the people that work for me. And there was one lady, she was pre-diabetic, and she started doing some of the things that, I was sort of teaching. And she started to really transform as well, energy levels. She became no longer pre-diabetic. Her blood levels went completely, back to how they should be. And I started to think, wow, there's really something in this. And then in the November 19, just prior to the pandemic, I was asked to go and do a talk in front of about six or 7,000 people for Success Resources. And I started to explain what I'd done there. And again, I was overwhelmed with the response to that talk. And so my daughter had started to work for me by then. She used to work for Goldman Sachs, Annabelle, who you've met.
Yeah.
And she said to me, and she used to work on high performing women's programs for that company. And she said to me, Mum, we should put this into a series of modules. Everything that you think is everybody knows, they don't know it. So you should put it into a sort of a course. And so really over the summer of 2018, that's what we did. We used to film just little snippets, little modules, of all the different things, all the different parts of the puzzle, until we had this course. And I sort of was, I didn't really push it because I was so busy with the rest of my business, and I was doing a podcast series. I'd written a couple of books. All this stuff was going on. And like I say, it wasn't really until we were in lockdown and Success Resources asked me to do it. And they said to me, could I do this live workout? And also, did I have a program? And I said, well, I've got these modules really. And so I started to evolve the program. And, that's the first intake that you were on, Madeleine,
Yeah.
where, what I realized was that you probably do need about 12 to 13 weeks. So I called it a season, and you probably need about 12 weeks to really change your habits. And also I realized that there were three main components to change, and there was lots of books that I recommended, if you remember, but things like
Yes,
Atomic
I do.
Habits. You remember all of that? And,
Yeah.
and the first thing that I always tackle in the program is the body. And I teach people the basics of eating and training. And then, the second section is all about mindset, because once people know what to do with the body, they're all excited and they get some really quick results in the first couple of weeks. But then, if then obviously there are very deeply ingrained habits, and so they start to go back to how they were. And so that's why the second part, I work on mindset, and I get people used to work, really training their mind. Then the third part of it is once their body and their mind are in control, I then tackle business with them. And if they want to start a new business, get a new job, just grow the business they've got, whatever it is, we work on that, the third section. And then the final section is all about packaging up. It's all the external stuff. It's, how people have their hair. You wouldn't think so at the moment because I've got caught in the rain today. That's why it's all frizzy. But how they have their hair and all their different grooming and how they dress, and all the extra outside things, little things like supplements and stuff like that. So we cover all of that as well. And then people leave the season, but they really have got skills for life. But then, 13 weeks is not enough to really transform a business. You can know what to do, but sometimes if you're starting something quite significantly different, you need some more mentoring. So then we produced another program which is really focusing on doing more of the same with the body and the mind, but really going deep onto the business side. That was level 3. And then I created another program after that because people wanted it, and I called it longevity. And that's focusing much more on having a longevity mindset, you know, because the science says that we ought to be living routinely past 120 and probably
Exactly.
150.
I remember that book that you advised as well that I read, where the guy was saying, well, we can easily live until 120. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember
And
that.
yeah, and the science says that we can, and so I've taken a big interest in that. And so on the longevity program, again, we're still doing work on the mind and the body. And some people now, Madeleine, if you were to see them, I mean, they look like athletes, you know, a year later, because they've been doing so much training. And well, not so much training, but they've been doing it so consistently. We still only train 3 or 4 times a week for an hour, so it's only 3 or 4 hours a week. But you know, if you eat in a certain way and you do it consistently for a year, your body just changes beyond all recognition. So some of those people, you remember probably Jason,
Yeah.
Ariel, and Katia. You know, some of these people just look magnificent, and they unbelievable things have happened in their business. You know, and we talk a lot now. We have the coaching calls every week, and we've sort of gone to that part. We're looking to the future now. We're looking at, you know, different things that you can do with your body, what's going on with your blood. I mean, so many different things, the more cutting edge sciences, you know, that sometimes I think when people are at the beginning of their fitness journey, they get distracted by the superficial things and they don't tackle the basics. So what I tried to do with YBNB was tackle the basics and then move to all the extra things after that.
Okay. Angela, I've lost you again.
Oh, can you see me?
For a minute. So, you were saying what you try to do with YBMB.
Yeah, is basically to tackle the basics first. You know, in that first season, we tackle the basics. I think so many people, they want to be looking at sort of the more complex answers. People think when you get into your 50s, you know, your body's changed forever, and there's going to have to be some magic, you know, and the truth is there isn't. And so I like to tackle the basics first of all, and then after that we start talking about the magic, but not until we've got the basics sorted. I mean, you yourself, you know, you look marvelous at the end of it. Well, you look lovely anyway, but you looked marvelous at the end of it as well. And so you know what I'm talking about. You know, tackling these basics is so important. You get skills for life, and then after that looking at the cutting edge technologies and sciences after that.
Yeah, I agree. But I think the first thing is, for people in their 50s, like me as well, it's you kind of think at the beginning that your best years are behind you and
Yeah,
not in front of you. And that's really a mindset change.
yeah,
But when people look at you, it's obvious that yes, you can do it.
yes.
That you can look 20 years younger, and and that you can transform your body completely and your mindset and everything. So I mean, you're the living proof, of course, but it's really a mindset change. And you're like, what? I can have all of that. I can have the six pack and all the rest of it. So it's
Yeah,
the first realization as well. When you go through the basics, as you said, it's first to believe that it's possible for us.
it's so much of that is belief. You know, I'm sure a lot of people, and I know you're a fan of Tony Robbins as well. And what he talks about is, you know, you have to hypothesize. You have to sort of think, right, I think that maybe this will work. And then what you've got to do is take the action. And then you've got to be able to measure the result. And if you see a little result, even if it's a little result, that then takes you in a cycle, because then you're much more inclined to take the action again if you start to see a result. And the great thing about changing the way that you eat and the way that you know, drink, stay hydrated, sleep, weight train, all the things that we teach, it's just amazing that you could maybe, you know, get to, like I was 54, you can get to the age of 54, and it takes a long time to get to 54, and really so fast you can change. And I think within a couple of weeks of being on the program, people do see a change. They don't see the end result, but they significantly see a change. And that keeps them going, because they think, wow, you know, if I can just do this after a couple of weeks, then what's going to happen at the end of the season? And so it keeps everybody excited, as you saw. And we've had people from all over obviously you're based in France, you know, we've had people from all over the world on the program, a lot of people from Europe, and you know, a few people from the States and a few people from
Asia
Asia.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Remember.
I know Florence, for example. Yeah. But what we've done now is we put a lot of the modules on demand as well. So if people feel that, you know, for whatever reason they can't make the coaching calls, they don't want to make the live calls, they can still just download all the modules in their own time, and they can still come on the Q&A, you know, the Facebook questions and answers, and get their questions answered. So yeah, we have advanced it quite a bit in the last year, just to sort of accommodate, you know what it's like as you sort of progress, you find out what people are more interested in and what their you know, challenges might be. And so it's exciting really, because we're doing a lot more on it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen all the transformation and I've seen all the modules that you're bringing and all the options and so on. It
Yeah,
just keeps evolving.
yeah.
So yeah, it's great. So wow.
Well, that,
um,
I mean, that's the intention really, is that I just want to, you know, it's lovely to be able to talk to you and anyone who's listening, and just explain that there is, you know, it's possible for males and females to make a change in their life. Firstly, and I always say, if you want to change anything, you know, the change has to come from within, and you have to change your mindset about things. But the easiest way to do that is not to think, I must change, I must change, I must change. It's to change your body, you know. And with Tony Robbins, he achieves that by getting us all to jump up and down, etc. With me, what I, you know, which is I love. But with me, what I replicate is the same thing through weight training. And people worry. They say, oh, you know, I've had so many people come on the program and they've got injuries, or they're scared, you know, they don't have equipment, and we teach them from scratch. You know, they don't need to use any equipment, they don't need to worry about injuries. We just sort of start very, very gently, and then before you know it, you know, 12 weeks later they're totally equipped. They could walk into any gym and not be embarrassed, and they would have lost a fair amount of body fat by then and probably built some muscle, so they'll be proud of their physique. So it doesn't matter what, I think a lot of people as well, they say things like, oh, I don't do the gym, and it's almost like they're creating a barrier, and it's such a shame, because if only they would know what's on the other side, if they would just take those simple steps. And so you know, rather than questioning it, I say to people, look, just move your body, just try, just even start walking, start doing some steps. You just start
yeah.
moving your body, and that changes your mindset, and in turn you start to see some results.
Yes, and I mean, when I started last year, I didn't have dumbbells, I didn't have any equipment, like you said, and I just started, like you advised, with the bottles of orange juice and filled with
Yeah,
running, to have something. Yeah, and the rest comes after. And also because it was in the pandemic, during the pandemic, and the sports schools were closed, we had to do
yes,
sports at home if we wanted to do sports anyway. So I mean, I haven't gone to the gym because I don't like it, but I like to do sports at home.
yeah,
And now
yes.
I've got my equipment and I can, like you have, and I can do it. And it's perfect because I do it when I want. I don't need anything open and I don't need to move to somewhere else. It's just perfect to do it at home. Yeah. And I remember
And
that, yeah,
And I was interested about the food side as well, because obviously, you know, I teach quite a lot of sort of changes, subtle changes. It's not like people have to massively change what they eat, and it's all whole foods. So I think I think people are quite surprised when I tell them about the food, because they think that maybe they're going to have to starve and not eat very much, but actually it's opposite, isn't it?
yeah, it was the opposite of starving. Yeah. I mean, I was never hungry. No,
Yeah.
completely. Yeah. Yeah. It's just changing what you eat.
Yes.
Not the dosage, but changing what you eat and the hydration and yeah, and walking a lot. I remember it was really the 10K steps. It
Yes.
took me a while to get there, and I couldn't get there every time, but as much as I can is good, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. And you look radiant, actually, really glowing and lovely. You really do.
thank you. That's so
Yeah.
nice of you.
Oh no, you do. Because I think once you start changing the way that you eat, even if you're not sort of particularly strict and things like that, because when we start, you know, we start recording, you know,
Yeah,
what we're eating and macros, because I teach skills for life. It's not just, you know, a fad diet where people just eat something for 12 weeks and then they go back to normal. I sort of teach people how to completely change so they can eat like that way
How to
forever.
look at what you eat and how
Yeah.
to make sure that you've got enough of the right things.
Yeah, and it really does show on people's faces so quickly. I love it when I look at the before and afters, and you don't even have to look at their body, which obviously bodies change, but you can just see it in people's faces as well.
Yeah, the
They get,
color has changed and the
yeah,
liveliness. Yeah, everything.
and they
Okay.
get more and they get more confident as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
completely. Yeah. So, and your clients, actually, you said it's men and women, it's all ages as well, because if I remember correctly, there were also, I mean, Ariel was in her 30s, for instance, and some of us were in our 50s and some were even older. So it's really all walks of life, right? That
Mm.
can potentially follow your program.
Oh, definitely. I mean, my own daughter, Annabelle, I don't know if you've seen, obviously, you met Annabelle on the program, but she's had an amazing transformation. Now, she was never um, big, by any means. She didn't have much body fat, but equally, like a young girl, mid-20s, they go out partying a lot. They don't necessarily eat all the right things. They don't sleep when they should, and all of that sort of stuff. But so she really has seen an amazing change in her physique. She's so much stronger. She's got an amazing physique now. She looks really, really sort of X shape, very athletic looking. She weighs the same still, but she's got loads of energy, and just looks great, as I say. And I think, so and it's given her a huge amount of confidence, business confidence as well, because we do teach a proven business blueprint. And, but, sometimes I think, because I experienced this, that if people are thinking, well, hang on a minute, what's the business bit got to do with it? Some people think, they just want to get their business improved. And so they work really, really hard, long hours, learning everything they can about business, and they still wonder why they can't get to where they want to. The way that I realized is that, we are a vehicle basically, and the body needs to be working optimally so that you have the mental energy to be able to implement these business strategies. And so that's why the body and the mind is so linked to business, because if you're wanting to be successful in business, it means you need a lot of energy. It means you need staying power. You've got to be resilient, because business is really, really hard. You've got to be confident, because you don't want to be worrying about, whether your bum looks big when, you're wearing a dress when you're talking or whatever. So
You
there's
need
all,
brain power as well.
yes, so you want all of these things to be working properly, and then in turn it makes business so much easier. And I've definitely noticed, especially the younger women who come on, once they change their body and their mindset, they've become a lot more confident, and that confidence really helps them in business. But older people as well, who maybe, that maybe their business has plateaued, or they're thinking, I really wish that I did a different thing. And, but time has passed me by now, and I should have done it, but I didn't. They're the people that I love helping, because what I know is that, let's say, for example, they are 50. What if they are going to live until 120? That means that probably they're going to have their whole career another 3 or 4 times over. And so therefore they want to look and feel as great as they possibly can, so that they can tackle all these new lovely opportunities. So
Yeah, I agree. Because, I mean, for French people, pension is at 62 officially, but it will only keep evolving and be delayed and delayed and delayed anyway.
yeah,
But, I mean, if we feel good and look good and we are in good health, then why wouldn't we want to go on and maybe
yes,
try something else? I mean, uh, as you delegated your own businesses and you went full on with your body means business, and yeah, people like me, I mean, I keep reinventing myself anyway, but I
yes,
can imagine that people like me would hesitate to go into a different area or different business, or to create to open another one. But yeah, if we consider that we're gonna live a lot more years, then suddenly it's like a world is opening in front of us.
completely. And why would we want to be retiring at 62 if we're going to live to 120 or 130, I mean, what are we going to do for 40 years or 50 years? And also, more importantly, how are we going to pay for it? You know, so because pensions are based on the fact that, you know, the government will pay us out for about 10 or 15 years. That's what they expect. They expect us to routinely die between 75 and 85. Well, if everybody starts living a lot longer, you know, they're not going to be able to pay pensions like that. So, and we're going to all want to continue to have a good quality of life. I was talking to someone the other day and she's 76. And I said, well, you know, how would you feel about living to 120? And she said, oh God, no. And I said, what? I said, why? And she said, oh, because, you know, I'll be really old by then. And I said, yeah, but how would you feel if you felt like you feel now at 120? And she said, oh, well, yeah, of course, then I'd want to be here still. And I said, so that's what the science is now saying is going to happen, you know, with genome therapy and, you know, replacement organs, which are going to be, you know, completely resistant and better quality than original organs. I mean, all of this science is being found. And then on top of that, you know, by eating properly, as we've ourselves seen, just by eating properly and weight training, you start to age backwards. So just imagine, you know, if we're all walking around looking like this and feeling like this at 120, we really do need to do more careers. And to do that, we've got to be more energetic.
Yeah. And it's perfect. I mean, if there's something that we always wanted to do, but we have never taken the step, well, why now is the time, right?
Absolutely. Now is definitely the time. I think that, again, that's been such a benefit of lockdown, as it's given people just a chance to jump off of the, you know, the hamster wheel and just to think about, hang on a minute, what is it that I really do want to do now? And here's an opportunity. And I would say to people, you know, do resist going back to normal, whatever normal is. Try to resist it. Try to think about, take this as an opportunity to really do something different, because this is a really great chance for you to do that. And you know, and help yourself by getting stronger and fitter mentally and physically as well. And even if you are going to change businesses, for example, or change jobs, you know, it might be hard for a couple of years, but you know, what's a couple of years in the scheme of many years? So I think, you know, we've only got one life, haven't we? So we ought to try and do the things that we want to do.
Yeah. And I mean, with the pandemic, a lot of people have completely changed their profession as well. I mean,
Yeah.
here in France, I heard, for instance, that there were like 100,000 people in the restaurant business that decided to change completely profession.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people doing something else right now.
Yeah,
And
completely. Yeah.
we never
And
know what's ahead of us, if there's another lockdown coming on the horizon for September, October or not.
yeah,
But yeah, so I think I don't know if we have only one life, but that's for another time.
yeah,
But
yeah,
let's say that we've got this life and let's enjoy it to the best, and let's make the best of it, and let's stay fit as
yeah,
long as possible, right?
yeah, yeah. So that, you know, we don't have any regrets. I think that's what's really important, is to sort of try things, do things, and just give ourselves the best possible chance.
Yes, exactly. Live life to the fullest.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So we are already reaching like half an hour, and it's generally how much I use for the interviews. But I mean, you've already given us some tips, but you know, I always ask my guests what are a few tips that they could give to our audience to get started on their way. And I mean, the first one I heard you say was, you know, to start with the body,
Yeah,
to start with fitness, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
And that doesn't have to be going to the gym, you know. So people are sort of thinking, oh my goodness, you know, I don't want to join a gym. And there's many reasons why people feel that they don't want to do that. It could be money, it could be time, you know, it could be just they don't feel comfortable. And the lovely thing is you don't have to do it. So that lady I mentioned, you know, who was pre-diabetic, all I said to her was to start walking. So she started doing 10,000 steps per day. And you know, if you look on your Apple phone, or you have a watch that monitors it, you'll be amazed if you've never measured. And the Aura Ring, obviously. But we won't, you know, people don't need to run and get that to start off with. If they just open their Apple phone and look at their steps, they'll be probably amazed at how few steps we naturally do. Maybe more now during the pandemic, but try to get that. Once what gets measured gets done is what I always say. So that's the first thing, start moving your body. The second thing is to start knowing about your body and knowing, for example, how much it weighs. So start getting on the scale every day. Do that when you wake up, after you've been to the bathroom, do it naked and record it. And then record it every day for a week and take the average. So it doesn't matter about up and down fluctuations, but it does matter about the average. And then do that same thing again the following week. And then you'll be able to see, what your baseline is, what you're starting from. And contrary to popular belief, what you weigh is really just a question of your energy in and energy out. So sometimes people say, well, I don't eat a lot, and so it can't be the food. It's got to be my hormones, or it must be something else. And it's not true, because if you think about people who are on a desert island or are put in prison or something, they'll be super stressed, and they probably will lose weight even so. So it's not to do with stress and hormones. It is to do with the amount of calories that we consume. And the problem is that our Western world, we eat far too many carbs, refined carbs, and we don't eat enough protein. And what happens is that we build up a lot of body fat and we don't have very much muscle. And so not only does that not look good, but it doesn't feel good either. We don't feel strong. And don't forget, if you can see body fat on the outside, it means that it's inside as well. It means it's around our organs, and that's very unhealthy. It also means it's in our blood. And this can lead to all sorts of illnesses as we get older. And so the next thing to do is to weigh ourselves, and then to look at what are we actually eating in terms of nutrients. And a great way to find that out is to start to record what you're eating. Don't change anything. Just record what you're eating on an app like MyFitnessPal. And you record it for a bit, record it for a couple of weeks, and you'll start to see how many carbs you're eating, how much protein, how much fats. And where we need to aim for is an even balance. And probably what you'll find is you're eating too many carbs, not enough protein, maybe even, a lot of fat, but not the right quality of fat. And the things to eat to start to sort of supplement are, natural foods, lots of vegetables, and you can still have wine, you can still have pasta, but in moderation. And the rest of the time is things like, and I did a live today, it's on my Instagram, about the main foods to eat. So if anyone's particularly interested, they can have a listen today, because I did it today.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah. Great.
That's the first things that I would do about body, and then mindset is a whole different thing, but I tackle the body first.
Yes, body first. Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, thank you so much, Angela.
Thank you.
A pleasure to have you today. I am going to put in the comments the links to get to you, to your Instagram, and also to have more information on the Your Body Means Business program for whoever wants to join. And yeah, well, thanks again. I'm glad we stayed in touch, and I was so glad to have you today as my guest. Thanks everybody for watching, and see you in September for a new interview series. Have a lovely summer, everyone, and bye-bye.
Thank you, Madeleine. Bye-bye. Thank you.